Okay, good evening, everybody. Good evening and welcome to our call for tonight. And hopefully we should now be live inside of YouTube. If you have any questions while we go along, please feel free to write them there in the box and I'll be able to see them. And just make sure we're all turned off over there. And these calls, what I'm going to be doing is going over some specific strategies for you to use in your for your video PLR in particular, right? So let's talk about some things that you can do specifically with video PLR. And again, I mean, if you have questions, feel free to write it. One thing I did want to say is I'm going to change the focus of these Tuesday workshops. These were just for the Central PA group and for the PLR show community. I did them kind of as a precursor to the Thursday sessions, which are private. So what I've decided to do now is to make this session on Tuesdays, as well as my weekend Q&A, to be PLR focused. And in particular, we'll focus on video when we do that. And obviously, since that's what I do, we'll focus specifically on strategies you can use for over-the-shoulder tutorial videos. And, we'll cover both the MMO and the non-MMO market strategies for over-the-shoulder instructional tutorial videos. We will cover them both. So it doesn't matter which one you're involved in. You'll be able to benefit from what we're doing here on Tuesdays. So let's talk about some strategies for over-the-shoulder video PLR. And you know that when it comes to video PLR in particular, over-the-shoulder video PLR is different. So it's different than if you're just getting PowerPoint content. Not that there's anything wrong with PowerPoint content, but when you get a narrated tutorial, that's different if you're going to be using it as PLR. What you're basically looking at when you have a tutorial there is you're basically looking at live action, right? And so you're not necessarily reading it. And so one of the things I'll even tell you is that, if you're thinking about, you're going to take it and you're going to add captions to it, I don't think that that's a good customization in my opinion. And one of the reasons why is because the focus of a tutorial is really for you to be able to watch it and for you to be able to replicate it. And if you add in words, you will be distracting the viewer. That doesn't mean they don't like it better, but they will have to almost watch it several times. And sometimes they will not even understand why. It's really sometimes because the words are there. And so people will focus on those words, not necessarily the best when they should be kind of focusing on what you're doing. What's most important when you use over-the-shoulder video PLR, in particular, when you're talking about training instruction, is how you're going to position it. And so one of the things that you've got to really think about is that, do you want to spend your time trying to revoice over-the-shoulder instructional video content? One of the things is, you'll find that the real issue with doing that is that you're talking about revoicing content when you got to retime the content with the video. And again, I mean, it's not definitely difficult to do, but it is time consuming. If you're gonna do a script and you're gonna try to narrate to keep track with the actual video, and I suggest that you don't do that. What you should be doing when you're bringing in over-the-shoulder video to your customers, you should be a resource person and a problem solver. So in other words, I would use it in a way to solve a particular problem inside of one of your products, or even if it's going to be your product, then you want to use it kind of as a problem solver and not necessarily as a resource person. Now, if you want to position yourself as the tech person, or you may need a different strategy than selling a course for that. Right. So, and I'll just kind of say that. So I would focus my attention in some other directions. We'll be talking about those things on Tuesdays, some ways that you can use, over the shoulder instructional tutorial videos in a way so you can start raising some of your prices, so you can start increasing some of the value of your products, so that you can really be known for a resource person and somebody can be trusted because you've always got the answers to particular problems. And so one thing that I would suggest you do instead of revoicing video is to consider doing a post-sale workshop for customers. And in this particular case, I'm not talking about the weekly workshop that I typically tell you that you should be doing. I'm saying that once the customer buys, you want to bring that customer on a strategy session, because basically what they're getting is how to. What you've got to show them is why the how to matters. And so you want to do that according to your particular market or niche, or even the way you sold it. So instead of doing individual bumpers, as I have told you to do them in the past, and that's the way we've taught this in the past, that if you're going to use over-the-shoulder videos, one way to keep from revoicing the video is to put on a video at the beginning, put on a video at the end, giving the video context. And again, I mean, I know that, depending on what kind, whether you use PowerPoint, whether or not you're going to use, an introduction, that can be a little distracting, and it can be time consuming if you got to kind of match the videos to, you got to match your video to the video of the tutorial. And so that was an imperfect solution, but it's still one that candidly, it's still better than revoicing videos. So if you still want to, let's say, do a bumper for each video, I think that's a viable strategy. It's a viable way for you to be able to communicate to your customer that you are the one with the authority. Now, the other thing that we've also taught was a contextual front and back bumper for the entire course. That's a little less precise, but it is a solution. So in other words, you'd come on with a 3-minute, 4-minute, 5-minute video at the beginning of the course, explain to people what they're about to see, explain the things that you're going to want to do. And then on the back end of that course, what you do then is you do another video. And I know that for some people, the idea of doing an entire workshop is a little intimidating, but doing a video could be something that you could do. You could do a 3-minute video and explain the context for the entire course. I mean, that's really what I would do, if doing a workshop is going to be intimidating. Both of these I still think are a little unnatural to the flow of a course. So in other words, if you try to pick up, let's say, where the narrator or the teacher of that over-the-shoulder tutorial video is, and you're going to be talking at a different pace, you're going to be explaining things in a different manner, it could still look and sound a little unnatural if that's what you're going to do. Again, I still think it's better than redoing the entire course in your voice. You can do something a little easier that's still going to give you authority in the course. And what I suggest you do, as I've said, is to do a workshop. And basically, you're going to do something at a strategy level. In this case, I mean, if you don't want to write the whole strategy session, you can either use something where, even sometimes what you can do is you can get, let's say, PLR on the subject where they've got PowerPoint presentations, and you can use that to start, to talk about strategy. Now, I put in here that in order to do this, you should be auto adding people to Zapier, right? So in other words, let me show you what I mean. When you start talking about using Zapier, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Zapier on here, and maybe I'll do this off screen I'm still logged in. So let's say that what you want to do is you're going to sell your course, and let's say that you sell it in ThriveCart, right? And you can sell it in any platform you want, but basically what you're going to do is you're going to put the person into your webinar system. We could put people into Zoom, right? So we can connect ThriveCart to Zoom so that when the person automatically buys the product, we put that person in a webinar in Zoom. We could put that person in GoToWebinar, right? Because Zapier has GoToWebinar. So we could put a person automatically in a webinar when they make a purchase into GoToWebinar, into one of our existing webinars. We could do that. I think that you can also use Webinar Jam with Zapier. So yes, you can also put somebody on a Webinar Jam, every webinar with Zapier. So I want you to think about that. What you're doing is you're saying that I'm going to do a strategy session with you, and you're not going to count on the buyer signing up for the session, and you shouldn't. If you really want that person on that session so they can get the most out of the product that they're buying from you, in particular, a video PLR product, you want to get that person on your strategy session. Now, obviously, not everybody's going to get on there. What you can also do, of course, is you're going to put them on your after sale autoresponder. You don't have to do that part in Zapier. Typically, you can do that part inside of your shopping cart. So in other words, if you're using ThriveCart, you can every time somebody makes a purchase, you can add them to your after sale autoresponder. However you get them, you want to be able to remind them that there's going to be a webinar, that you're going to be doing a strategy session, showing them how to get the most of the course that they've already gotten, however you tend to deliver it to them. And one of the things I suggest that you do is you can lead with the strategy session in your product. So in other words, one thing you could do, and we talked about this before, if you don't have the Gumroad product, I think we talked about this when I did the strategy session with Andy and Kurt inside of that product, is if you're going to use a platform that doesn't allow PLR videos or doesn't allow PLR, you don't want to lead with the course. You want to lead with the strategy session. And you want to use your PLR as a bonus. And what you're doing is you're raising the value of that entire course. You are also, in most cases, hopefully you're able to raise your price. So the other thing I would say to you is that if you're already doing what we have suggested you do in the past, and that is to do a weekly workshop, the idea of you doing a strategy session should be more valuable. So if you're doing something every week and you're going to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to discuss with you how you're going to use whatever this is, right? I'm going to discuss this in a strategy session. And that's really what you're leading with. That's what you're actually selling. What you're doing is you're bringing the PLR under you. Then that's a viable way. In fact, you can change your offer in that way. I think I put in here also one of the things you want to do if you're going to do that. You do want to go ahead and watch the entire course. I don't say that because I'm vain, but I do these courses so that even you as a PLR user, you can actually, if it's good enough, I think, for you to learn from. And in most cases, if you're not a technical person, I understand that, but I also do those courses. There's an advanced course for those of you who are a little more advanced. And so if you feel like, I know all the basics, then you might be able to pick something up from the advanced course. That's where I do these things. What I would say to you is that you need to watch the entire course. You need to watch the front end course. You need to watch the back end course. And that's just so that you will be effective in putting together a workshop, because you want to be able to talk through what matters. You want to be able to talk through what's really going to work for the customer. And you want to be able to talk through how each video fits what they're trying to do. So you want to think about, in every session, in particular, you're going to bring people on an after strategy. You're going to bring people on a strategy call once they purchase. Think about one goal your customers want to achieve. Whatever that goal is, that's what you want to structure that strategy session around. And you want to start talking about how they're going to use the videos in the PLR course and how they're going to use those toward that goal, right? That's basically what you're doing. So you want to use those, you want to use the strategy session as a way for you to be able to lead with that as the value, and not just the PLR and not just the instructional video. And one thing is that when you're doing your workshop, you should also be pre-selling something. And it doesn't have to be the upsell course, but you should be pre-selling something. You should be talking about something that's coming up. You should be talking about something that they're going to get later. Definitely, if you're structuring your offer so that they're, so they're going to see the other offer for your upsell course, you want to sell that. You want to tell them why it's beneficial. Throughout your workshop, hopefully you are building a video learning center. And so you should be talking about throughout your workshop the fact that if they really want to, let's say that what you're doing is you're using our most recent course, which is on ClickFunnels, but they also need to know and understand, let's say, StreamYard, right? And so you want to be talking about the fact that, hey, you can also learn StreamYard and Gumroad if you get access to our video learning center. And that's assuming that you have both of those courses in your learning center already. So what I'm saying is that throughout your workshop, you should be pre-selling. Now, I'm not talking about making that the point of the course or the session. So don't make it into a pitch webinar. I'm saying that you want to mention the fact that if they really want to benefit, that you've got some other things that they can use that they can be benefited by, and those things are inside your continuity offer. Right? You should always be sprinkling this session, your session, with that continuity offer, whatever it is that you've got of value right at the moment. And it should always be two things. Now, for us, for the people who are on this call, let's say, right, I'm always going to be talking about Ultimate Insider. That's the ultimate value for me, right? And I'm also going to be talking about our current PLR launch, which is our ClickFunnels PLR. That's what I'm doing on this call. Right? While I teach, I'm pre-selling. I'm talking about that to make people aware of it, to make people aware of how they can be benefited by it. You should be doing the same thing. When you do a workshop and you bring people on after the sale, you should be pre-selling those other things, even while you're giving value and you're not making the pre-sell the point of the actual session. The other thing is, and I just mentioned this, when you bring people on that session, if you're going to structure your offer so that the advanced course is going to be a separate course, you should be promoting that advanced course in your workshop and in every way possible. So the trick is, and the skill is, for you to be able to not only teach, but also to figure out the ways and the place where you should be mentioning the advanced course that they need. So in this case, let's say that, you're going to be pre-selling, you're going to do a strategy session on ClickFunnels. Well, one of the things in the ClickFunnels advanced course is how to set up the upsell, how to set up a bump offer. So you should be creating scenarios where they'll be curious about how to set up a bump offer. You're going to say, well, this is in the advanced course, right? So that's something you should be telling people about during your session. And you don't want to, again, don't make it into a pitch. Make it so that you make them curious about getting the advanced course, getting what it is that you also have to offer. So do this instead of both revoicing videos, do a strategy session instead of doing individual bumpers. In fact, I'm probably going to go back and take that training down, and I may put that training in our own learning center just for posterity, because I really don't want to teach that anymore. I'm suggesting now, even though for years I've said that you should and you could do contextual front and back bumpers, I'm suggesting to you now that what you should do inside of your course is you should be doing a strategy session. It doesn't have to be long. So it should be 30 minutes, probably at the longest. What you're basically doing is the people that have bought the product, you're going to show them how to benefit from it. And you don't have to, let's say, if you want to put it on the sales page, you can. If you don't put it on the sales page, make sure that you auto add them to the webinar. And sometimes that can be a little tricky, because some people will say, hey, how did I get added to this webinar? This guy's really making me mad already. So if you're going to do that, make sure that in your welcome email and on the thank you page, you tell people, I'm going to be adding you to a webinar. Right? So if you choose not to put it on the sales page, just make sure you tell them. And again, what you're doing on that session, if you don't make it a pitch session, people will not mind having been called to be on a webinar where you're giving them value, showing them how to get the most out of what they've already purchased from you. And so that's how you add authority to PLR that you didn't create. You're going to give them strategy. So if you can think of one way that they will benefit from understanding the content, that is what you need to teach, right? So again, use the session, right? Use the session to give value to the people that have purchased from you. Do not use it as a pitch webinar, because what you're doing when you do that is and I don't want to say this is an easy way. I'm going to say it's a better way of rebranding an entire course you didn't create. Because again, when you buy instructional tutorial video PLR, again, it's different from PowerPoint content. It's different. The point of it is not for you to be a tech person and for you to be known as a tech person. You want to use this content because people always have questions. They always have questions about how to start, how to build a website. There are always going to be people who buy your course no matter how advanced your audience, there are always going to be people who buy the course and they're not going to understand how to go to cPanel and how to set up a WordPress webinar or WordPress website. So what should you do? You should have a PLR course on how to do those things. So if you don't have a course on all the basics, right, you should have a course on all the basics. You know why that matters? That matters because if I come and buy your course and you've always got all of the answers that I have, even though that's not the point of the course, I'll tend to buy more of your courses because you take the time to make sure I've got all the resources. Now, if you think about that, is it important that the video be in your voice? It's probably not. What's important is that the strategy session be in your voice and that what you've done is gather the resources. Okay, so any questions? Any questions? Any questions about the strategy? Any questions about not doing contextual front and back bumpers? Any questions? Okay, so again, our most recent PLR is going to be connect using ClickFunnels. You can get that at the plrshow.com / I think I spelled that wrong. It's CNFLS, but I think you can spell it the other way. You can still get access there. You can also make sure that you are on our daily PLR mailing list where we talk about PLR every single day. Just go to the plrshow.com, put your name and email address in there, or just get access to our free PLR Academy. When you do that, you will be auto added to our mailing list. If you don't for some reason, just email me in support and I'll make sure you're on our mailing list to get our daily discussion about PLR. And most importantly, I think that the best way to do all of these things is to position yourself as an expert or as an educator. You'll get access to all of our workshops. So in other words, I mean, you wouldn't even have to think about doing a workshop because I'm going to give you our workshop. So for example, just what I've taught tonight, if your market is the make money online market, or they buy or teach, or they want to learn PLR, if you're an Ultimate Insider, you would have access to this content. So basically you want to be able to do this and you want to be able to, have access to these things. You can do that at the plrshow.com / insider training. Bill, the replay will be right here on YouTube, right at this spot. Yep. It'll be right here. One thing that we're doing with Ultimate Insiders right now on Thursday nights is we are teaching the entire start to finish business model. Really, if you want to dive outside of the make money online niche, you want to build a brand, you want to build it from scratch, you need to follow us on Thursdays. Now, I'm only doing this privately inside of Ultimate Insiders, calling it Extreme Business Makeover Live, 40 weeks of training. And we're doing that on Thursdays. So, again, the only way to do part of that is to do that at plrshow.com / insider training. I want to make sure that you understand that this weekend, I will be rebranding, reducing, and retiring all of our live PLR for our annual July 4th of July sale. As you know, I don't discount. The only way I discount things is to do them for Ultimate Insiders. However, I'm going to be retiring our live PLR, so this will be probably the only time that I'll be discounting for the entire community. So that'll be for our annual 4th of July sale. Obviously, if you're an Ultimate Insider, you'll get a break even off of that break, right? But if you've been looking to get our live PLR, I'm going to be retiring it. This will be this weekend. You'll find out about it if you make sure that you are on our mailing list at the plrshow.com. You'll get first notice, and I will be talking about that this weekend. Okay, so okay, yeah. So the replay for on Thursdays, Bill, will be it'll be posted in the community. It'll also be posted in the member area, right? It'll be cross-posted in 2 places, right? So it'll be in both places, and I'll also send it out by email. So I'll also be sending it out by email to everyone, right? Good question. Okay, everybody, so if this has been beneficial to you in any way, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Go to the plrshow.com / shout, and please give us a shout out and let us know that this has really kind of helped you. that'll really help us. And we put these things on our sales pages and on our workshop pages. It helps people to know they get value, when we actually teach. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you very much for hanging out with us here. Appreciate you all being out. Have a great night and a pleasant tomorrow. Take care.